You have a general approach, Freeholder, to whether or not questions that we should be consolidating, privatizing, making things public. Is that a general matter for you? Or how do you decide on a case-by-case basis? And give us an example of something that you worked with on that issue.
All right. I have both a generalist approach and then a very specific approach. The generalist approach is that when you have certain core services, they can't be privatized, and you can't privatize them. I'm specifically referring to Bergen Regional Hospital for this, because this is a social safety net, and without that safety net being there for people to rely upon, we simply would find our public hospitals overwhelmed by people that are otherwise treated by what is New Jersey's largest public hospital right now, even though it's being run privately, pursuant to an awful contract that was let almost 19 years ago. That's about all the time that I have.
Okay, well,
but fortunately, Joan Voss will follow.
Actually, it's going to be the candidate to your left on that.
I'd have to agree with David in terms of, depending on the scope of the service. That's going to depend on, that's going to be the driving force of the decisions you're going to make at each of these levels. Again, you have to look at each of these different services first as a business, and does it make sense? So if you're going to look at it as a business and what it's going to cost to run the business, and then the volume of people that are going to be using that service, that's going to start you on a baseline of how you're going to expand that or how you're going to pull it back so that that service remains whole, and it remains efficient, and it remains positive, because we don't want to have services just to say we're sharing services and then have them go down. I also think that in terms of consolidating and using the word consolidation, I think again you have to look at things as a business situation first, and then does it make good business sense?
Okay. It goes over to Joan Voss.
Well, I have to say that I've been very, very concerned with what is happening at Bergen Regional and at Rockley, which is the nursing home we have up in Rockley. And I've heard people saying that they would like to sell these. I am very much against that because, as David pointed out, Bergen Regional is a safety net. And several years ago, one of the worst contracts, we actually gave the company that is running the hospital a 19-year loan at no interest. Who negotiates a contract like that? And I don't think that we have to treat our hospitals and our nursing homes on a for-profit basis. I think that we have certain obligations and responsibilities to the citizens of Bergen County to provide services, especially at Bergen Regional, where we have drug rehabilitation, mental health issues, substance abuse, and so we really need to protect that hospital.
Okay. Then Robert Avery.
Well, I absolutely agree with the rest of the freeholders that core services have to be maintained, and they should be maintained at a governmental level. If we don't do that and we let things be privatized, we know that people are going to be left behind. We know those the neediest of us are not going to be served well, and we need a place for these people to be served in tons of ways. In the example of the hospital, they need to be, and we can't let these people fall behind. But to be a general, does this work?
You're going to extend my minute, right?
Yeah.
To be a generalist, I do feel that the consolidation of services is absolutely essential for what we do in the county. We have 70 towns in the county, we have 70 police departments, and this is the perfect way that we can consolidate to save services. The county can be a conduit for the consolidation of these services, and And if each town can save a significant amount of money by the consolidation of services through the county, we'll all have lower taxes. I think it's a very beneficial way to approach things, and I think we should definitely consider it.
I'm not sure. This is back on again. I'm not quite sure what happened there. But do any of you want to take half a minute to respond to what your colleague said? Joan.
I've worked for many, many years on trying to consolidate services, and I have to say that every time I was thwarted because people in Bergen County really like home rule. And when you say, should we consolidate the schools, should we consolidate, any of the services like the DPW and things of that sort, if you put it up for a vote, it will go down. People just don't want it. They want their own town. And even though we have 70, I only know of 2 towns that I have worked with that have consolidated the DPW service, but no other towns that I am aware of at this point has done that.
David, do you want to say anything?
Thank you. Let me just add that with respect to the police, we actually have 74 different police entities that act in the county of Bergen, and it really is very essential that at least one of them, that is the county police, become a part of the sheriff's department through the reorganization that we contemplated. And the principal reason for it is, this is simple. You have 2 entities doing the same thing, and you have potential to save $200 or $250 million over 25 years.
Yeah, just to add, in my own town, we have a Bergen Dispatch, which is a municipal dispatch, emergency service dispatch, and we supply several towns with that service. And that's been in Ridgewood, servicing other communities as a shared service for years. So, I'd like to say we were one of the first ones to start a shared service, but I don't think that there's anybody that doesn't realize that, an economy of scale anywhere, in business, in your home, anywhere, is going to be a positive thing for Bergen County.
I'm going to respond to something from David's opening statement. One of his statements was that he has a strong record of fighting and cutting taxes. I do want to point out that during the 10 years he was on the Freeholder Board during the McNerney administration, taxes went up between 6 and 7% every single year on the average. It took Kathy Donovan 4 years ago to lower the taxes, to cut back the budget. The Democrats never did it. They had the opportunity, and it seemed they never met a tax that they didn't like. They just couldn't say no to taxes.
Okay. We're getting a little difference here. Let me ask one quick question, and if you think you have 30-second response, I'd like to know. But you think that, for example, dispatching is something that the county should try to provide across the board to the whole county, potentially, serving perhaps the whole county eventually? I still each one of them choosing individually to do so. Anybody want to take that one on?
I'll take it. Yeah, the county has already proposed that. I mean, it would make sense. We have a law and safety building up in Mawa that we could utilize for many different services. A county dispatch would be one of them.
I think that Joan wants the mic.
Yes, we have the service up in Mawa, but when the towns were offered an opportunity to join in a county-wide response, the towns didn't want it. Only 11 towns out of 70 have opted to take that. They just don't trust it be too far away as far as some of the towns are concerned because it is up in Mawa. And so this is a very hard sell.
Actually, it is a very live question here in TNEC. I don't know if you do that or not, but it is a very live question within the council among those who.